Hey y'all, it's Nathan here with Dream Helper. Just wanted to come on here and give you a rundown on something here. I've never really done one of these videos. There's several other people that have. Did a breakdown on a load and things. Here's what I do to figure out if I want to take that load or not. When you're getting ready to do, you're looking at the load board and you getting ready to pick a load, where you're going to go. First of all, let's have in mind what direction we want to go in. And don't be so gun-ho on which direction you go unless you gotta be in that particular area for a certain event or certain particular reason. So be a little flexible on where you go. There's money to be made in RV transport, but if you are able to be picky on where you go and your finances allow you to be picky like that, hey, I'm for it. Do it. Got a good friend of mine that does RV transporting, and he is financially able to be a little bit more picky on where he goes and how often he goes and things like that. So that's great for him. It works for him. And now, just a disclaimer here, whatever I tell you may not work exactly for you like it works for me. Remember, we all of our lifestyles and finance situations, everybody's are different. I don't know if anybody's financial system or situations are 100% identical. I wished all of us was where we didn't have to worry about it. We could just go and do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it and things like that. So keeping that in mind, when you go to look at the load board and you get ready to pick number one thing, be flexible on the direction that you go to, especially right now. I'm hoping after the 4th of July and all that's over, things will pick up and we'll have more loads to choose from, and maybe can be a little bit more stern on which direction we want to go in. But right now, be flexible. Even if the load board had 1,000 loads on it, still be flexible in where you choose to go, because you got to remember there's a lot of drivers out there choosing over the same loads you are. So you may put in for a load and it load already may be taken. So don't just let that discourage you and say, well, I ain't going nowhere. Be flexible. Number two, know your fuel mileage rate, average, empty and loaded. And then look at the miles of where you got a deadhead from to get that load. If you live real close, hey, that's a plus. But if you've got a deadhead several hundred miles to get it, you got to take that cost in consideration. I'm going to show you a breakdown here in just a moment, and it's going to have a bunch of lines drawn through some numbers. And it's simply not because I made a mistake. It's because things have went up, inflation. And as I was going, and I did this load, and it cost my bottom number to be a lot lower than I anticipated it on it being. So know your average. I know my average mile. Average miles loaded and empty loaded, I get roughly 8.5 to 9 miles to the gallon, empty and loaded, depending on type unit I pull and where it going. you got to take into consideration again, if you take a unit and it's real heavy and you're taking it to, say, West Virginia where it's real hilly, you're going to burn more fuel. If you're out west and you're taking a unit through the Rockies, you're going to burn more fuel because it's real hilly. So take all that in consideration when you're doing that. So 1, we're going to be flexible. Number 2, we're going to know our average fuel miles per gallon, empty and loaded. Then, number 3, look at what that load's going to pay you. Total cost after deductions. After you pay your pickup fee, if you're still paying your deposit, you got to take that in consideration. That's 10% right off the top before the deposit, but before the pickup fee. So you got to take all that in consideration when you're doing that. So there's 3 things you got to be real up to know on: being flexible, average mile per gallon, empty and loaded, and how much the total load is going to pay to you, to the truck. Not to you as a personal, but to the truck before you take that load, to make sure you're going to make some money for yourself when you do that load. So there's a lot to take consideration. As the more you do it, the faster and better at it you'll get. But hey, I encourage you to do that. So let me show you this breakdown right here. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I'm going to try my best to go through it with you. If you'll see this load right here, I picked this load up in Michigan and took it to California. And this is just a little breakdown piece of paper I have that I had my wife make up for me, and I hand write it out. The load paid $2,270.25. My fuel cost going was $793.28. My deadhead fuel mileage back, because I thought when I got out there that I might be able to pick up something and run it out there, but there was nothing in the area. The closest thing to me was halfway back to where I'm at. So I just chose to wait, and it was getting close to a holiday weekend, so I just chose the deadhead on back, which cost me in fuel $515.02 in fuel. I had a motel room when I went and picked it up of $47.04. And then when I got back to where I'm at, I had to have a 34-hour reset. So instead of trying to take it in the truck, I did a 34-hour reset at a motel, which is $149.94 for 2 nights, which is not bad. I have the Hotel Choice Hotels app on my phone, and so I look it up and get the best rate I can that way for that. But I don't sleep I sleep in my truck most of the time. I try not to do 34-hour resets out on the road, but sometimes it happens and you can't help it. I take out a maintenance fee of 15%, which is $288 on this particular load. I normally just round them up. So if it's $287 and some change, I usually just round it up to $288. That's probably why that's rounded up more. So that being said, after everything was said and done, as you can see, I draw a line here, I draw a line there, and I drew a line there. After all the deductions come out, I'm left on this load profit to me that I'm going to put in my personal bank account, $536.97. So there it is. That's a breakdown. There is money to be made in RV transport. Now, would you say that's a great week? That's not the best week out there. No. Took me 6 days to turn this load. Took me 3 days to get out there and 3 days to get back. And then I had to spend 2 days here where I'm at in a hotel. And I'm still 300 miles from my personal house. But I am where I'm picking up my next load. So, there again, that's not all wasted time money. I will make money after I get my reset in tomorrow and I pick this next load up and taking it to Georgia, to my hometown, where it's going. So, there is money to be made. Don't be like, well, I'm not doing that for that kind of money. That would have been a great load had something been out there where I was at, and I could have done it and made an extra $300 or $400 on top of that to pay for my deadhead fuel back. All I had to have was $500 in deadhead money to come back, and then I would have profited over $1,000 on that load, plus whatever I would have profited off that load out there. So there's money to be made. I really, really want you to know there's money to be made. If you're just thinking about getting in this, and maybe you out there, you've already been into it, and maybe you've not really sat down and thought about it, but I want to encourage you to know your ins and outs. Write it down. Your truck payment, your insurance, your cost of everything that's going to cost you the same every month, regardless if the truck moves or not. You need to know what that is. Then you have to take in consideration fuel is going to differ. So that's not a hard cost. That's a fluctual cost. It's going to fluctuate because shorter the run, less fuel. Longer the run, the more fuel. So that goes up and down. We all know that. We're all adults here working on this. But know all your costs and take all that consideration, and you'll make it. I just want to encourage you and let you know that you can make it and will make it if you watch your P's and Q's and dot your I's and cross your T's. You'll make it in this business. Not just this business, any business. Any business you go out there and go to do, you got to know your hard cost and your ups and down cost of what it's going to be. Have a general idea of what you would like to try to make to put in your pocket. And really be flexible with that too. A new business, if you're just a newbie trying to get into this, don't think that you're going to be rich overnight. First of all, you're probably not going to get rich at all in this anyway, but you can make a decent living and make good money. But don't just come in here in 2 or 3 months and throw in the towel because everything didn't go exactly the way you had it planned. Circumstances come up. A breakdown might happen. Work might get slow like it has. I've been doing this for a little while. Been in the trucking for 15 plus years. And every trucking job that I've ever had, whether it be a semi, hot shot, RV transport, flatbed, whatever it may be, it's up and down. It's like this. It's feast or famine in anything you do out here. These days and times that we live in, we just have to take it day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. And so as an RV transporter to another RV transporter or to another truck driver out there, just want to encourage you to keep your head up. Keep fighting, keep plucking along. You can make it if you put your mind to it. As our intro says, we're failures, we're not going to fail. We can't fail. Hey, if you spent the money I spent to get into this, you understand what I'm talking about. You've got to make it work. And then if you get down to the nitty gritty and you see that it ain't working for you, step back and examine and see what's going wrong. Maybe you're taking the wrong kind of loads. Maybe you're buying stuff you shouldn't be buying. Maybe you are trying to take too much out instead of leaving any in. I try to leave money on my card or in my checking business account to where I can operate. I mean, you gotta have a mindset of operation there. And so, I don't want to bore you and keep talking about the same thing, beating a dead horse, but there again, I want to encourage you. You can make this if you will do, and watch your P's and Q's and dot your I's and cross your T's. You can make it. Don't get upset and throw in the towel too early. Give it some time. Any good business person will tell you if you make it the first 5 years, you'll make it. You can't expect to be in the black, per se, first week out, first month out, first year out. You want to be, and you hope to be, but I encourage you to know it takes time to build a successful business. And if you want to be successful, watch your P's and Q's and dot your I's and cross your T's. Buy where you can buy that's cheap. Get what you can get that's cheap. Keep your equipment up. The better you keep it up, the better fuel mileage you'll get, the better service you'll get with it. Your biggest expense is going to be fuel and maintenance. You got to keep your equipment up. You got to keep fuel in the tank. I recommend you getting an auxiliary tank. If you have diesel, get it that way. As we're a gas burner truck, and we're going to get an auxiliary tank for gas burner. I have found one out in Arizona that will allow me to put it on a gas burning truck that's DOT legal. Cut that off right there before I start getting any kind of comments on that. It is DOT legal. And so I encourage you to do that. That'll cut down on some of your cost, because you can go further down the road before you have to buy fuel, and that'll allow you to be able to buy cheaper gas if you're a gas burner and cheaper diesel somewhere else, instead of running out and having to buy it right then and there, and it be 30-40 cents higher at that station if you could have made it on down the road another 100 miles and got it for 50 cents cheaper a gallon. It's common sense to make that, but it does work, and you can make it. So hey, this video right here, I'm going to end it right here, but we'll see you on the next one. And we're certainly glad that you are watching the Dream Helper. Please, if you got any good, useful information out of it, leave some comments, like the video, and share it with others, and help me build this channel. We're trying our best. We're not trying to just copy other people. We're trying to be different, but we want to give information along the way as we learn it. And so don't get upset if there's not a video every week. As things come to our mind and things we learn, we will try to share them with you on video and leave them out there on the channel. But there again, keep your head up, keep a smile on your face, be courteous, be sensitive to what you're doing, how you're doing, and let's make some money together. And maybe one day we can hook up. We'll catch up with you out there and we say, hey, we'd love to meet you and all that. But for right now, I want to encourage you to keep the pretty side up, the ugly side down, and keep it between the white lines. Don't be cleaning out no ditches. Until next time, like our channel, subscribe, and hit that little bell down there, and tell somebody else about us. Thank you for watching.